There's a chair in my house I used to sit in and think my useful years were probably behind me. Not dramatic about it, just quiet. Kind of thought that shows up when you're 70-something and everybody around you is either retired or talking about retiring, and here you are wondering if you're supposed to be done contributing anything new. I want to tell you about what happened when I decided that chair wasn't going to be where I stayed. I spent most of my life doing work with my hands, construction, pouring concrete, moving houses, the kind of work that wears on a body but also gives you something to show for the day, a wall standing, a foundation poured, something real. Ministry work came alongside that for decades too, but by the time I got into my 70s, most of what was in front of me felt like it was winding down instead of opening up. I figured that was just how it went. You work, you serve, you get old, and then you sit in a chair and watch other people do the building. Last September, at 77 years old, I decided to learn something I knew absolutely nothing about, using AI tools to make videos and reach people online. I want to be honest with you, I didn't know what half the words meant. I was starting from zero in a way I hadn't started from zero since I was a very young man. The first few weeks were rough. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I made mistakes that probably looked funny to anybody watching. Posted things I didn't mean to post, figured out half the settings by accident, asked questions I'm sure sounded basic to people who'd been doing this for years. But here's what I noticed after a month or two. The learning itself didn't feel like decline. It felt like the opposite. Every new thing I figured out, every small win, a video that actually posted right, a comment from somebody who said it helped them, it didn't feel like I was scraping the bottom of what I had left. It felt like there was more in me than I'd given myself credit for. I started posting about the confusion right alongside the wins. Didn't hide the parts where I got it wrong. People responded to that more than anything polished I could have put out. Turns out a lot of folks, not just my age, plenty younger too, are carrying that same quiet fear that their window's closed, that they started too late, or they're too old, or too far behind to catch up to anything new. I'm not telling you it's easy to learn something brand new later in life. It isn't. Your mind doesn't move the way it did at 30. But slower isn't the same as closed. I'm proof of that, and I didn't expect to be. I've come to believe that chair I used to sit in wasn't really about my age. It was about a lie I'd started believing. That usefulness has an expiration date. I don't see that anywhere in how God has worked with people throughout history. Some of the most significant things happened through people well past the age everybody else had written them off. Late starts show up again and again, not the exception, closer to the pattern. If you're carrying that same quiet fear that you're too far behind, too old, too late to start something new, I want you to hear this from somebody 2 years into starting something at 77. The window's not closed. It might just be opening differently than you expected. I'm still learning, still making mistakes, still figuring out things a lot of younger folks figured out years ago. But I wouldn't trade the last 2 years for going back to that chair. If any of this sounds familiar, if you got something you've been putting off because you think you started too late, I left a link in the description of what I found that got me moving. Take a look when you're ready. There's no pressure, just an open door.